Hello, Sheryl. I have the pleasure of introducing you to everyone that's joined us today. Sheryl is the CMO of Mary Kay, a role that includes Mary Kay Inc.'s global marketing strategy, brand positioning, new product development, advertising, digital marketing, social media, product education, and customer insights to drive their long-term growth and support more than 2 million independent beauty consultants. It's a lot. We're going to get into those beauty consultants and all of the individual aspects of your role in a minute. But I'd like to talk about, a 12-year history at the company. And even before that, you spent time with some other great brands like Alberto Culver, Cadbury, Citibank, and Kraft Foods, and putting your Harvard MBA to good use throughout your career, Sheryl. So when people think Mary Kay, I know I'll put myself in that people category. The first thing that comes to mind is hosted parties, someone's home, a feeling of community. You likely know the person who invited you into their home for the party as you get into, the great products that are part of Mary Kay. So I can only imagine what this last year and a half has been like for your company. So take us through what that was like for you. Was it March 2020? You recognize that things aren't going to change anytime soon. What happens? What were you doing as a leader, and how were you helping?
You froze up a bit, Beth Ann. I'm going to take the liberty and go ahead and start speaking, hoping that the connection is still working for this event. So yes, March was definitely a landmark as it related to headquarters here in Dallas. We actually, though, had been navigating the pandemic since it's really had its origins in China, because that is one of the markets. It's one of our largest markets in terms of the independent sales force. So in terms of first thinking through how do we make sure our staff is safe, that our sales force is safe, that we're supporting their business, we had actually started supporting those needs back in January. Having said that, it came fast and furious, rolling through Europe and into the United States. What we did is what we always do in terms of focusing first on how do we continue to support the independent sales force so they can support their customers. Concurrently, we were all, picking up our equipment to safely work from home. Very grateful that the company had invested all along. Even though we're a face-to-face company, there had always been big investments in technology, both for the sales force and the staff. So we did, where we could, relocate our operations, our in-house ad agency, production studios, everything moved. On the other hand, our manufacturing facilities, which support most of the Mary Kay business around the world, are essential businesses. So we were also prioritizing how can we as a manufacturer be of support. And one of those things was to understand if we could have permission to produce a hand sanitizer. It wasn't something in our product line, but because of the urgent needs right then, we were able to get into production and literally produced a hand sanitizer within about 10 days, setting a land speed record for new product development. But it enabled us to donate over 500,000 units of hand sanitizer to workers on the front line, hospitals that were in need, and also with the help of our independent sales force, domestic violence shelters. We really, like I said, prioritize first and foremost, how are we taking care of our team and the independent sales force?
You always keep those foundational charitable elements at the heart, and I know we're going to get into some of those stories in a moment. But I would love to go back to, and you're a pro, thank you for going on with the moment of freezing, which is exactly what we're all living with now. But similar to that, you've been able to take some of the learnings that have come out of this trial and error of the last year and codify them into future practice. Talk to us about some of what those are like, from production to sampling in new ways. What are some of those things that were never thought of or in place at the speed that they are now that you're going to continue to make sure are really core to how you operate?
Yes, it definitely became an adventure, but in some respects, almost a scavenger hunt because we had to figure out who had what equipment, who had even what products, accessible or could be delivered so that we could keep production of our marketing materials, anything that the sales force needed for social. They were the ones that really had to, again, pretty much overnight transition from all of the in-person conversations and parties and move their business digitally. Again, we had the tools, but they weren't necessarily something that everyone used all the time. So we got very creative quickly. It was certainly all hands on deck. We basically tapped into everyone's talent and creativity in terms of whether it was photography skills, art directing from a distance. We plugged into our network of models in different cities who were also sequestered at home. And we said, hey, we'd love to use you in a catalog. We won't be there to shoot it. Would you mind doing some selfies for us? And they're like, sure, this is great. We're happy to have the work and the opportunity. And they're like, by the way, my husband's here. If you want him to model some Mary Kay men's products, he'd be happy to. So it was very much a find a way, make a way mindset, which is actually very true within, I think, Mary Kay's. She was very, very tenacious and all about, I'll figure it out. We can do it. Stay positive. And we're taking that really going forward, being more experimental, being more comfortable making mistakes along the way, but making sure that we're learning from those things. And I think the third thing that we're tapping into is that everyone has a multitude of gifts to give. And if we can take advantage of more opportunities, certainly with digital and Teams and Zoom meetings, you're able to include so many more people in a discussion. We're collecting so many more ideas, and those are things we definitely want to continue to leverage going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed myself just the sensorial elements of whether it's visual, whether it's descriptions that have gotten, more robust, that almost take the kind of guesswork when you're not able to be there physically, sometimes even trying and sampling you go a lot deeper very quickly from the.
Yeah, for sure. Because even though we have product samples, not nearly as many as there's demand for. So thinking very differently about how do you convey sensorial cues? How do you reorient how you write about things, photograph things, social motion, video. So yes, I'm glad you're noticing that. And also digital tools. We have a Mirror Me app, which enables women to try on a makeup look. So all of those things come into play so that we can provide that try before you buy experience.
So talk to us a little bit about your business model. You have been a B2B to C, if you will, supporting entrepreneurs around the world. As you said, your company has this core set of values and very strong culture at the heart of all that you do. And it all comes from Mary Kay Ash herself. So talk to us about how that business founding and that mission-driven kind of genuine, authentic purpose makes its way even today through every element of your business, and how that model has continued to adjust, but to stay really core to how you operate.
Yeah, Mary Kay Ash herself was limited in her opportunity to advance and succeed in corporate America. She was a very successful saleswoman. She was always asked to train the next guy, and as soon as she trained him, he got promoted over her. And when she got to her mid-40s, she had had enough, and she said, I'm not going to do this anymore. Didn't know what she was going to do, but she wrote down what she had learned and what she thought would be possible and what would be ideal. And that became a business plan. And so this business was founded with the intention of providing women an equal opportunity to have an unlimited earning opportunity, while at the same time being able to pursue their life's priorities. And in Mary Kay's words, those were faith, family, and career. And when you first kicked off our conversation, I love that you talked about how this model really is driven or has been driven by face-to-face and social interaction. I claim that we are one of the very first social businesses. Our independent sales force were social influencers. They were trusted, and it was really by word of mouth, and what they shared about the products and their experience really made them successful as they shared those products and recommendations. So now as I look today about, what we're seeing with influencers and so forth, Mary Kay had that vision back in 1963. Today, of course, it's enhanced with digital tools, which enable the independent sales force to serve their customers basically anytime and in any way that's convenient. So the combination of their personal websites, the apps, the skincare analyzer, Mirror Me, etc. And the thing about our culture, which does distinguish Mary Kay, it's a culture of caring. It's about relationships. And it's through those relationships that the independent sales force are able to build and maintain a loyal customer base. And it was something that I think really made a big difference over this past year, because the independent sales force, they were checking in on their customers. In fact, one customer is in her 80s, wrote a note to the company saying, I was feeling very isolated and I don't have, family. And she said, it was my independent beauty consultant that just called to check in and see how I was doing. And she took the time to write the company and share how much that meant to her. And, that's, again, I think at truly, literally at the heart of Mary Kay are the hearts of the beauty consultants.
Yeah, so anyone who's out there thinking that Kim Kardashian or Paris Hilton were the first influencers of beauty, it was really Mary Kay.
Yes.
Important to know. I love that. But at the same time, you're still getting the competitive pressure out there. So you have the rise of these direct-to-consumer brands, especially in the beauty space. You have all these, even like the Sephoras and the Ulta Beauties, that are now optimizing their physical footprint with their digital e-commerce sites, and teaching the consumer how to get comfortable buying. I'm sure that helps you when they teach the consumer how to get comfortable buying through the web. But talk to me about that pressure. Is that just is it like, the boat's lifting all? Is it lifting the category, or are you feeling, that it's just getting very crowded in the space?
It's definitely crowded, and that's what makes my role so exciting. One of the things, it is true, and it's a positive that consumers are certainly comfortable making their beauty and cosmetic selections with the help of an advisor, and not necessarily needing that advice to happen in a department store environment. And this is not to throw shade on department stores, but one of the things that they don't have, in fact, most retailers can't replicate, are the relationships. Somebody who knows you. She knows that you typically go on a family vacation in winter and remembers to check in and make sure you're going to have the right products for your skincare. She knows that your son is graduating from high school and she'll make sure you get the waterproof version of the mascara. And it's really the fact that the independent beauty consultants are taking the time to customize their advice, not just to quote, sell or recommend what's on special that month, but to really stand behind our 100% product guarantee, product satisfaction guarantee, and make sure that that individual is really happy and satisfied with the results. So it's a very crowded category, and our competitive advantage really lies in those individual relationships.
So it's interesting too, because we're spanning generations, right? You have your loyal list that has been around for a very long time. And as you mentioned, you're there for that 80-year-old woman. I mean, how many brands can say that? But at the same time, you're serving these new entrants that are coming into, and they're coming in earlier and earlier, not even just the cosmetic, but the skincare routines, and recognizing the earlier you start, the better for your long-term well-being. So how does Mary Kay do that? How do you make sure that you're not alienating, a very loyal consumer at the same time that you are constantly adapting to bring in a Gen Z?
Yeah. Well, from a product standpoint, we certainly have a wide range of products. And part of what we make sure that we do in our marketing is to make sure we are highly inclusive. And so if you look on the one hand, while all of our models that are women that use Mary Kay tend to be a little bit, ageless, if you will, we do make sure that we do represent all types of women and beauty, and not just in separate pages, but showing the interaction. What's really wonderful right now is I believe, particularly among women, that everyone appreciates what they can learn from each other. Everyone appreciates the support that they can gain from each other. And we see that, some women, younger women appreciate the lessons learned and the advice that they can get from someone who's, let's say, learned from life. I'll just word it that way. We don't talk years here. And at the same time, a lot of women who maybe aren't digital natives appreciate what they can learn from others. So what we are finding in our business is that we are continuing to attract women and people of all backgrounds. Things like flexibility, having the opportunity to spend time with family and friends, having control over your income, being connected to a community of women that share a commitment to our purpose, that care about making the world better for other people. Those are very timeless, I think, attributes that women are looking for, no matter what age they are. And we feel like that's as true now, if not more so, as it was, when the company was founded.
So let's talk a little bit about that more. Mary Kay Ash, tell us about a bit of that legacy story and how it's so core to everything that you do today.
As I mentioned before, she built we are that company that was built by a woman for women, but not just because she only cared about women, but she knew that when women have the time and the resources, they in turn help make both their families and their community networks stronger. And that was really why she wanted to empower women so that they in turn could make a difference. And that's something that resonates not only here in the United States, but now in nearly 40 countries around the world. We have a presence in Latin America, in Europe, in Asia. And one of the things that has enabled the business to expand and connect with women across multiple cultures are those shared values. Things like the golden rule, treating people the way you'd like to be treated, making everybody feel important, operating with integrity. So those principles never change. Now, executional tactics, some traditions might evolve and modernize, but those values don't change. And that's, I think, part of the strength that enables us to work together, to be agile. It certainly enabled, my team and I to quickly think very differently about how we approached what we did. And like I mentioned before, it's really opened up our eyes to some new opportunities going forward. I think it's also underscored how important our culture is in this day and time. And so many of our efforts, things that the company is doing in terms of supporting cancer research, our grants to the domestic violence shelters that are helping women. And sadly, those needs have only grown during this time where people have been more isolated. Things in terms of sustainability, those are all things that we are proud that we're able to be a part of with the support of the company, and also the support of the independent sales force who are making a difference in their local communities.
Well, we all thank you for the work of the company. It is great work, and it wasn't just a moment in time. It's something that just keeps compounding year over year. And if you are or know someone who has been affected by the She Session, it is a great, side hustle or primary career option for you. So a little plug there. You talk about taking those ideas into the future and still trialing and innovating and thinking about how you do new things. So you just recently in April, I think it was called Sweet 13.
13, yes.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that pilot and the successes and learnings from it. Where did that idea come from even?
The idea really came from the knowledge and I'll say the immense challenge we felt like our sales force would be experiencing, that they could not have their parties or skincare classes. And yes, we had apps, but other people might have apps too. We felt like, what else can we do to help her? And again, we didn't know when she might be able to get back to business as it used to be. And it was really from thinking about not so much what we don't have or what she doesn't have, but what do we have? And as we were thinking about digital capabilities, we had seen some examples of digital environments. And then when talking to the team, said, wow, what if we could create a place for her to share what she does, what she loves about the business, and show the products. And that conversation led into thinking about really a virtual beauty experience, a beauty center. And in a few countries around the world, we have a physical center, but we're obviously not bricks and mortar, et cetera. So then we said, wow, if it's digital, then it can be anything we want it to be. So what should it be? And at the time, we had started to also see that some retail stores were starting to create virtual environments. But again, we're not retail. We're really about an experience. So we thought about what's special about Mary Kay? What are those moments? What are those symbols and signals in our business? So things like the bee. A bee aerodynamically should not be able to fly, yet it does. So we thought about, where do we incorporate the bee? Where do we incorporate Mary Kay Ash's story? And again, thinking about what do we have? We had some great assets in our digital asset library in terms of videos and product demos. And we got together a cross section of people and started to create a virtual space that really combines our brand story, our founder stories, and it's actually an experience where the independent beauty consultant can give a tour to her customer or maybe her team member. So we designed the space, and it's actually called Suite 13 because we said, it's certainly not an office building. It's not a store. We wanted it to feel livable. And at the same time, we wanted to be like a destination, a little bit of an escape. And so we started thinking about hotel spaces, and that's where Suite 13 came up. 13 is Mary Kay Ash's lucky number. We began the company on September 13th. So it's a space that is still evolving. The independent sales force really loves it. They love that it gives them a place to express who they are, to demonstrate their knowledge. They can customize the tour, and our business model is all about customized experiences. She can invite someone back at different times, depending on, let me show you our skincare innovation area. And then another day it might be, let's go over to the botanical effects juice bar, and we'll talk about that. So we tried to make it a place that she would enjoy, our independent beauty consultant, and that she would be proud and excited to show her business and show what she loves to her customers. So it's launched in Latin America and Spain so far, and certainly excited about expansion plans coming up by the end of the summer.
All right, well, we'll keep watching Twitter or other spaces to get that announcement. Yes. We got some questions here. I know we have a few. I think we do have a little bit more time for some of the questions that we're getting, and I do have one more for you too, a little bit more on the personal side. So let me just get some of these audience questions. One is, based on your experience, what company values mattered the most to young consumers? So what are you seeing of all your values is the one that really is resonating with a younger consumer?
I think the first word that comes to mind is authenticity. And I combine that authenticity with our philosophy. It's Mary Kay Ash's quote: "Picture an invisible sign around each person's neck that says, 'Make me feel important.'" She didn't start necessarily a beauty business, but an opportunity business. And our philosophy is that beauty begins on the inside, really as potential, and it shines on the outside. So I think the inclusiveness, if you will, is in our DNA. If you look at if you were to see our independent sales force, thousands of women in the room together, you would see everybody. And that's the beauty, if you will, of what we do. And when I've shared the Mary Kay, we've created cases for business schools and college competitions. It really is our value systems, our authenticity that students are excited about, and that these are just real women who really use the products, and they are genuinely excited to have an opportunity to have their own business. So that resonates.
Yeah, you really are in the confidence business, that's for sure. That's been my experience. The next one is around, what do you see as the biggest future challenge to retail and e-commerce, and the biggest opportunity?
I think the biggest challenge going forward is that obviously you can get almost anything, almost anywhere, anytime. And so retailing now no longer is about the product and seeing it necessarily or getting it at that moment. However, the shopping experience, the social interaction, the aspect of discovery that comes in shopping. And it's interesting, years ago when you had a lot of salespeople, they actually showed you things. They told you things about the fabric and where it came from, or the design. And then retail kind of went much more to self-service. I think the opportunity for retail going forward is how to design experience back into the shopping. And obviously some digital tools will help enhance. You can certainly have pads and QR codes and scan and look at your phone, but some of that you can look at your phone at home. I think it's going to be the willingness to invest in the right talent combined with digital technology to really make that retail experience memorable and make it much more of a destination. I remember when I was in New York right before the pandemic, and I went to one of those kind of laser game places, and I started talking to some of the staff. They had staffed with part-time actors and singers and dancers. So they didn't just hire, gamers or techie kind of people. They hired people that were actually interesting to talk with. And that made that experience even better. So that's just an example of, I think it's going to be about casting, almost thinking about how to create an entertaining experience. And you don't have salespeople, you have talent, you have entertainment, and it's through that experience then people will want to connect and invest in your brand and products and services.
The New York story is a funny one because, of course, that's usually who people hire in New York for their, their second jobs, or the ones that are also trying to pay their way through acting and performing in the city. So you do end up having some really great customer service experiences in other
Yes.
places, including restaurants. Okay, so now I want to just end on a personal question for you. Being at a company for 12 years, what part of the job, are you most proud of? Has really been the thing that motivates you and inspires you, and is the thing that is most fulfilling for you personally?
It really goes back to the opportunity to be a part of something, a part of I'll say a movement that is changing people's lives, changing women's lives, changing the lives of so many women and girls who would not have an opportunity and wouldn't necessarily have the benefit of some of the programs we're able to support and advance, that advocate for young women and girls around the world. The need is so great. And as much as I do all that I can in my community, this opportunity to amplify our voices, our impact, our social impact, and be that voice for women's equality and empowerment. As a woman of color, knowing that Mary Kay Ash from day one, this opportunity was available to all women. And it made such a big difference for so many women who did not have nearly the options that they deserved. And so I feel privileged, and I even told the CEO that if I hit the lottery, yeah, I'd go celebrate. I'd still be right back here because, like I said, an opportunity to be a part of something so much bigger than myself, I could never replicate.
It's certainly a privilege and remarkable that the business is doing what it's doing, and it's thriving, and it stays committed and consistent all these years. And Sheryl, you're certainly ushering it now into sort of this next generation. So it's been great to talk to you and to learn from this. Also, I must say that I know I'm having some stability issues with my Wi-Fi, but we went through, I think, a lightning storm there on your background. So
We sure did. Yes.
Are you in Dallas?
I am in Dallas, and yeah, this is like day 40. I'm ready to build an ark. I mean,
well, that was a first for me, seeing sort of like lightning bolts around you, thinking, I hope
you thought it was my high-tech background effects. Well, thank you, Beth Ann. It
Well,
was
let me see if
really
there's
great.
any other. Nope, it looks like there's. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. And for people who are interested in learning more, please follow Sheryl on LinkedIn and seek out all the things that are to come from Mary Kay.
And thank you, Beth Ann. It was so great to be able to share with you today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Claire.
Hi, guys. Sheryl and Beth Ann, thank you both so much for joining us today. I loved hearing about the ways Mary Kay has evolved throughout the years, supporting women and really being the original disruptor in the cosmetics industry. We'll have to have you both back again soon to continue this awesome conversation. But for now, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You too.
Take care.
Speaking of challenging the cosmetics industry, up next, we are thrilled to welcome So Young Kang, the Chief Marketing